Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome, dear learners. I am Dr. Manisha Goswami, working as an assistant professor at Institute of Business Management, GLU University, Mathura. Today, we are going to start with our lecture number 12 on resource allocation of corporate strategic management. Before we start with our today's lecture, let's have a quick recap of what we had done in our previous 11 lectures. In our previous 11 lecture, we were talking about the essentiality of understanding the strategy formulation. Right, so how important is to have a fair understanding that how exactly you will be able to frame a strategy. Merely after having a thought coming in your mind that let me frame the strategy is not going to pave your way. You have to have a fair understanding about the environment. You should scan the environment, you should monitor the environment, you should do the proper assessment and analysis of the environment, and then disseminate the required information to the required department. Then only you will be in a position to frame the strategy. Without knowing the external environment, different opportunities, threats coming from the external environment, without knowing that different internal environment, how your internal environment is working, what are the strengths and weaknesses of your environment, I am sure the organization will not be in a position to create a strategy for the organization. And strategy is the thing which has to be created for the long-term perspective. You should have an ethical background also while creating a strategies for the organization, because corporate governance clearly laid down the importance of transparency, accountability, and also ethical behavior. So if a person who is leading the organization as a top manager is not ethically correct, then the strategy which they will be formulating will not be of ethical nature, and as a result, the execution of the strategy will not be able to take place, or if you try to force fit it, may fumble, and very soon you will be caught red-handed. So formulation of a strategy require a deep and a very thorough analysis of the environment, and based on that you will be in a position to really find out whether it's going to be a corporate strategy where you will be giving a direction, stability, and the retrenchment to the organization, right? So in the direction, you will be focusing on the growth, stability, retrenchment. When you're going for the portfolio, you try to assess the portfolio, whether this particular portfolio is giving profits to you or this portfolio is giving losses to you. So if it is giving losses to me, whether I should continue with this product or should disregard this product or disinvest this product, all such decisions you can take only when you are assessing the environment. Without having an assessment of environment, without having due understanding about the opportunities, threats, strength, and weakness, you will not be in a position to take the corrective course of action for your organization. So your corporate strategy also relies on what? The assessment of the environment, on the set of strength, weakness, opportunities, and the threat that you can get after the Questel analysis, 5 forces Porter's model analysis. You are going to make use of VRIO model, you are going to make use of value chain analysis model in order to drive out the result that how market is taking shape, what are the market trends, how government is behaving, what are the law and order. Everything is going to play a substantial role for you as a top management of a company to take frame the corporate strategy on the key issues like direction, portfolio, and parenting. Once it is done, then the next level comes is of business strategy, where the middle level management try to find out how they are going to place their company in the market, right? How they are going to position and against their competitors, how they are going to position themselves, what different challenges they will be facing in order to compete in the market. All these things are taken care by the middle level managers, and while they are framing the business strategy, they have to take a call whether they should go for the cost leadership, or they should go for differentiation, or they should go for the focus approach towards the cost or the differentiation. After this, next level comes is a functional strategy, where the ground level people working in the organization are the one who will be bringing your strategy into action. They are really the person who will be bringing out your strategy into real action. So most of the executional failure take place at a functional level, because most of the time it has been observed that people are failed to convince the functional level people. Their behavioral implementation issues arises, their structural implementation issue arises, there are the issues which is related to the unrealistic expectation from the worker arises. So functional level strategy focus upon identifying the structural level implementation, functional level implementation, behavioral level implementation in the organization. If all these things are taken care of, then only you will be in a shape or the position to really bring the outcome out of all the efforts which you have put in terms of selection of the strategy by undergoing the feasibility, suitability, acceptability criteria. So after having this quick recap, I'm sure you people are well versed and you can recall our previous lecture. Now we can head towards this new lecture, and the learning objective of this lecture are as follows. The first learning objective is to understand the importance of resource allocation in strategic management. Second learning objective is learn about resource configuration and its impact on business efficiency. Third learning objective talks about discuss the role of protecting unique resources and sustaining competitive advantage. And the fourth learning objective talks about explore how to fit resource together for effective organization functioning. And fifth learning objective is talking about learn about business process reengineering and its application. So by the end of this lecture, I'm hoping that dear learners, you will be in position to get the learnings, these essential 5 learnings after this lecture. So let's start our today's lecture, which is on resource allocation. Now let's try to understand what exactly the resource allocation is. So the process of distributing available resource, maybe a human, financial, physical, technological, to various projects or department in a way that align with the organization's strategic objective. The efficient allocation of resource is vital for achieving business goal and maintaining competitive advantage. So dear learners, I'm sure you have an understanding now that what resource allocation is about. Resource does not mean only a raw material or a machinery. It could be the money also, it could be the worker also, it can be any XYZ asset of the organization which they are holding, the infrastructure, the building, the work floor, maybe the workshop unit or the machinery they are having. Each and everything is going to come under the resource of the organization, which you may effectively use in order to bring the results to the organization. And if you just imagine, if the resource which is needed by the finance people is given to the marketing department, and the resource which marketing department needed is given to the HR department, do you really think the outcome can be drawn out of it? Answer is no. So for this, you need to have a fair understanding that which particular department is in need of what kind of resources, and based on that understanding, you have to furnish those resources to those departments. And this is how you try to facilitate each and every department with the required resource. Then only you can expect them to perform. Otherwise, what will happen? There will be a functional implementation error, that you are expecting something from us, but you are not providing the required resources to us. So before asking people to do certain things for the organization, or before fixing the target of each and every organization, first ensure one thing, that have you allocated the right resource to each and every department of the organization or not. Once you have allocated the right resource to each and every department of your organization, now the second step comes is to fix the target. But first is to assign the resources to them. Next is your type of different resources. As we were just talking of, there could be a human resource. Like human resource requires skills, knowledge, experience of employee, right? So what kind of a manpower I am having in my organization? It's not, human resource doesn't mean just an HR person or CHRO of the organization or an assistant HR of the organization. Each and every worker working in the organization is coming under the purview of a human resource. No matter he is a watchman, no matter the person is a peon, no matter the person is working as a housekeeper, no matter the worker is working as a manager, no matter the worker is working as a CEO, CFO, CHRO, whatever the level of a human resource is, is going to come under the manpower, is going to come under the skill set. Each and every person belonging to a particular category is holding or having certain set of the skills. The kind of a skill which a housekeeper require, you as a person may not have. So the work which will be performed by a housekeeper is going to be very essential. If the housekeeper will not come, you can see the dirt is all over, the things could not be managed. You will be struggling to manage the things in the absence of a housekeeper. So each and every individual who is working in the organization is having a certain set of the skill. You cannot negate the skill of the lower class of the people working in the organization by stating that only the skill set are there in the CEO, CFOs or the CHRO or CFOs. It is not like that. Each and every people who is working, who is a part and parcel, no matter it's a watchman or a guard standing outside, he is or she is also contributing to the growth of the organization, and they are also having a certain set of the skills. They have also the knowledge, they also have experience, right? So when you are hiring the guard, you also look for the experience. How many years you've been acting as a guard, how many years you've been working as a housekeeper, how many years you've been working as a peon. So you are again looking for an experience. That means you are looking for a skills. So every worker in the organization is contributing in the success, and everyone should be respected well. Next is the financial resource like capital or the funding available for the investment in the project. So this particular aspect has to be dealt with lot of care. Why? Because most of the time it has been observed the people are successful in raising the fund, but they fail to manage the fund well. So if you are failing to manage the fund, whatever the efforts you have put to raise the fund will go in vain. And the most of the time it is observed, and most of the scandals you have seen, like be it a Satyam scandal, Sahara scandal, or the scandal in case of a Nirav Modi scandal, or you'll go to the ABC shipyard scandal, everywhere where you are observing there is a inflation or mishandling of the fund. So this area become utmost important, and proper auditing, proper care of management of the fund should be taken care. Otherwise, a slight deviation can devastate the situation of the company, can impact the image of a company, and it may ruin the entire system of your organization. So capital fundings available for investment in the project. Are you in position to get certain projects? Are you in position to get certain funds from the government? Are you writing proposals to the government? Are you coming in MSME, or your organization is coming in large cap? So will you be able to get yourself listed in Bombay Stock Exchange, or you're coming in mid cap company? Are you a public listed company, or you have some other ways of raising fund from the bank or other financial institutions to get the loan from? So you have to have a fair understanding from where this money is coming, and based on that you have to have a fair understanding that how you will be utilizing it. The way you are curious and cautious about getting the sources from where you will be getting the money, in the same way you should be very much curious and very much accurate in terms of usage of the money also. So proper allocation of the fund, proper budgeting of the fund within the department has to take place, and there should be a proper checklist and ensure that rightly it is utilized or not in the organization. Next is the technological resources. Technological resources are very important because technological advancement and disruption is taking place at a very fast pace. So you need to keep on upgrading yourself. You need to keep on upgrading your software, hardware, tools used to achieve the business function. But if you fail to do so, you may be missing out the opportunity of removing the possibility of errors, right? So if the particular software has been upgraded and it has made your work more easier, so you miss out this opportunity of making your work easier because you fail to upgrade your software, because you fail to upgrade your machinery. So it is always advisable to keep yourself vigilant and active and alert about the different advancements which are taking place in technology and how to make best use of the available technology. That is also very important, and this is going to come under the type of the resources, and you should see that this type of the technological advancement is really going to help my production unit, or it's going to help my HR department, or it's going to help my finance department, or it's going to help my marketing department, or it's going to help my procurement department or the logistics department. So based on the understanding that what kind of advancement of technology is taking place, what kind of advancement in software of maybe ERP or HRIS or the maybe marketing analytics or data analytics is taking place. So you should be be well versed with about these techniques and other things, and accordingly try to fix the thing for your department so that the efficiency of that particular department can be enhanced and sharpened. Then next is your physical resource. Physical resource talk about the building, machinery and the equipment. You can't do much about the physical equipment because you can't bring the change in the entire physical structure of the building, but you can bring the change in the interiors of your organization, like how you are going to effectively utilize the different space. If there is a huge corridor, that how you are going to make effective use of corridor to make the ambience very lively, very fruitful for the people to work in, which can help the people to get rid of the stress and anxiety while working in the organization. So you have to be very cautious how you are making use of the available resources, how effectively you are making use of resources. We are not asking you to reconstruct the entire building, demolish and then reconstruct as per the new trend and everything. We are just asking that how you can make effective use of the available resource. Next comes is why resource allocation is important. I think this now become meaningless because I'm sure my dear learners are well versed with the answer of this question, but just for the sake, if you miss out with any of the point, I'm reiterating certain points again. That ensure right resource are available at the right time, right? So if the allocation of the resource is taking place and you are very much clear that who will be responsible for this kind of the duty which is going to be facilitated by this resource, you can allocate. Suppose CHRO is there and the CHRO needs certain skills of the people, and you come across certain skill set outside in the market and you want the resume of this worker to be given to your CHRO so that the CHRO can fill that vacancy, right? So this is how you try to mix, this is how you try to help your CHRO of your organization, right? And you try to provide the available resource at the right time, at the right place. Avoid the wastage and minimization. And this is going to optimize the performance, right? So if you are having this approach of providing the right resources to the right person at the right time, it's going to 100% optimize the performance. It's 100% going to increase the performance of the worker working in the organization and will help in overcoming the various kind of the negative activities, or maybe the wastage of the resources could also be avoided, because the person who is using the resource is expert, and the person who is expert is not going to waste the resources, is not going to misuse the resources, because he know how to make use of the resource, how to make use of the time, how to make use of the available thing, and they understand the nitty-gritty of it. They understand the value of the resource they are holding in the hand, and as a result there will be no wastage of the resource and there will be a proper optimization of the resource. Next is support that alignment of resource with the company strategy, right? So the resource allocation also bring the understanding that how this particular resource is going to be useful in order to attain the strategy of the organization. So before you take a call of really coming up with the particular resource or buying certain resource, maybe the human resource you are buying, or you hiring this human resource, or you are buying certain raw material, or you're buying certain machinery, or you're buying certain software, you are 100% sure why I am taking the call of purchasing this, because every single step is going to cost you certain amount, and that cost should not go in vain, because you are very much curious and very much cautious about the effective utilization of the money which you are putting in. So you are going to ask 100 times before you are taking a call of purchasing a particular raw material for your organization. You will try to foresee that how many times I will be able to get the returns from it. If I am purchasing some lakhs rupees of software, then I'll try to foresee that it should contribute me at least in 10, if I'm purchasing in 1 lakh, then it should come out in 10 times. Right, it should be in a position to help me to get certain returns out of it. So every investment you try to evaluate what is the return on investment is, right? So support the alignment of resource with the company strategy. Next comes what is resource configuration, right? How you are really going to create the proper configuration of the resource, like how you are going to assemble, how you are going to fix the gaps in the organization by filling it with the required resources. So resource configuration refer to the arrangement and organization of the resource in a way that maximize the potential and align them with the business objective, right? So you try to find out how you're going to make use of the different resources of your organization so that it is going to fill the gap whatever the gaps are there in the organization, is going to fix those gaps and going to help and facilitate the organization to leverage the profit and the benefit for the organization. It involves understanding how different resources can complement with each other and how they should be structured for optimal performance. Like in case you are hiring some sales agent in the marketing department, sales force you are hiring. So these sales force people are really going to complement with the different marketing strategies of the organization. If they are not complementing, that means they are the aliens in the organization. So you try to ask them to leave the organization. So every resource which you are going to put into the organization should support the particular strategy of the organization or the particular strategy of that department. If they not, they are the aliens, and you should ask those aliens to stay out of the organization. So this is what comes under the configuration. You try to see the alignment, you try to see how the different things are coming together, gelling well with each other and supporting and finally helping in attainment of the overall vision, mission and objective of the organization. Next comes is the key component under the resource configuration. So first component of the resource configuration is a physical infrastructure, that tangible facilities like office space or the production plants, right? So you are going to see how you are going to make use of this. Is just what I was talking of in a moment before, that if you are having an old building, old setup, you cannot demolish the entire building and come up with the new infrastructure standing, because it is going to cost a lot to your organization. But still you can make use of the available resources, available building, how you're going to make use of this corridor, how you're going to make use of this room or this hall, right? You try to see the maximum possibility of recreating the best ambience and best situation in the available resources. So that's how you try to utilize the office space, you try to utilize the production plant space, you try to utilize the place where hazardous machineries are placed, where the lightings, how lightings should be there, how many ventilation rooms should be there, how many chimneys should be there. Everything you are going to find out based on the type of the work you are doing in the organization, and as per the law and order, what should be the number of the windows, what should be the number of the chimneys, what should be the number of the artificial light or the natural light entrance in the places where the hazardous machineries are functional. So all these things are going to come under your physical infrastructure. Lot of things you will be doing out of the pressure of the law and order. Most of the things you have to do for keeping in mind creating a very healthy ambience and the work culture within the organization, so that people feel stress free, anxiety free, because they are putting 1/4 span of their life in while working for the organization. So every worker, it's a very humble request from the side of all the worker, that it is the need, it's a need of an hour to take care of the worker health, mental health, as well as the physical health, whereas they are contributing a lot to the organization. Not just the contribution in terms of the number of hours, they are spending 1/4 span of the time while working in the organization. So major chunk of their life went off while working for some organization. Next comes the organizational structure, that how companies, department and teams are structured to enable efficient resources use, right? So entire organization structure is also going to be a factor of consideration while you are doing the resource configuration, that how company, department, how team are structured to enable the efficient resources, the entire hierarchy of the organization. And based on the hierarchy, you will be in need of certain resources, like some marketeers are there, right? So marketeer these are the people who need a mobile phone to stay connected, or they need a walkie-talkie to stay connected, or they need a motorbikes to roam around the city to go on to the site. They need certain GPRS kind of the software, or GPS kind of a software, right? So that you can keep a track on how they are moving to different part of the places. So this is all going to be the requirement based on the organization structure, or based on the place where you are working as an employee. The next comes is a knowledge base. Access to the critical knowledge, including employee skills and the proprietary information. Everything is going to give you an idea that what kind of resource you will be in need of, right? So if you are at a topmost position, the kind of the resources you may require to really help in facilitating all the functions of the organization is going to come on the knowledge base, right? Then example, if a global supply chain, a company may need to configure its logistics warehouse across various regions to ensure timely product delivery. This is what Walmart is doing, this is what Amazon is doing, this is what Alibaba is doing. They are making use of AI in order to have a better supply chain logistics system across the globe. McDonald's is considered to be having a best supply chain management thereafter Amazon. The next comes towards the protecting unique resources. So you might be having certain resources which are very unique, right? And these unique resources are becoming the USPs of the organization. So if you are holding certain resources which are unique and you really want to protect them, how you will be doing it? There are certain ways of protecting the unique resources, like through intellectual property rights. That is come under the copyright, trademark, geographical indication, patent, right? So these are the different ways through which you can protect your unique resource. Let's first try to understand what exactly the unique resources are. These are resources that provide a company with comparative advantage and are difficult for a competitor to really create a replicate of it. For example, it includes intellectual property, patents, and proprietary technology, right? So there are certain resources. Say for example, Samsung refrigerator has come up with a curd maestro, right? This is the very new technology. I haven't seen in my life ever that the people can culture the milk and get the curd from the refrigerator. Refrigerator is generally meant for providing the cooling effect, right? And how could you generate a curd out of it, right? There is a cubicle in a curd maestro refrigerator given by the Samsung, where in that cubicle, if you put the milk and the small little culture, within an hour you can get the curd from it. So this is the new technology, right? In the refrigerator you can generate a curd. So that's a very new technology, and the Samsung fight for the patent, and they got the patent, and now they are going to enjoy the monopoly in the market by offering this curd maestro, which none other company can come up with, until unless Samsung gives the license to other refrigerator manufacturing company to come up with the curd maestro kind of a technology. So that's what the unique resource which they come up with based on their R&D. So if the research team of the Samsung company can come up with this technology or this unique feature in their refrigerator, other companies can also work on, and they may come up with some other feature which people can't even imagine. This refrigerator can do this also. Now, why there is a need to protect the unique resources? Because there is a possibility that other person may replicate what you are producing. They may create a piracy of it, they may create a copy of it, and as a result, the product which you will be producing will be of less cost, because you are not the person who has put the money in R&D to come up with this new technology. You have just copied the idea. As a result, what is going to happen? The per unit cost of your organization is going to be very less, and you will be able to offer the product to the customer at a lower cost. As a result, the company who has really put his heart and soul in coming up with this new concept, new idea, technology by putting a lot of money in R&D, and then finally they come up with the product, they are going to be at loss. Because you have just created a pirated copy of it, you have created a duplicate copy of it. So in order to protect the duplicacy, in order to protect the piracy of the original product, and in order to protect the interests of the intellectual people or intellectual property, this is important to really protect it, right? So this is what mentioned here. Unique resource, when safeguarded, provide long-term competitive advantage. They allow company to maintain differentiation in the market, because it's your hard-earned work, right? This is what you have put in the market, and you able to come up with the product which is very unique and distinct from the rest of the people. So you should gain the advantage of selling the product in the market for at least 14 years. Now, strategies to protect unique resources. What are those different strategies which organization will be making use of in order to protect the resources? Like the legal protection, patent, copyright, trademark, trade secret. Now, what is patent? Patent is going to be given to those organizations maybe for the product or for the process, right? You can get the patent for the product. If any unique product or any new feature you have added in the existing product is going to come under the patent. or you can also get the patent for the process, like how you are doing the production, what different steps you are taking in order to produce the product, like Six Sigma concept, Kaizen concept. These are the examples of the process patent, right, coming from the Japanese country. So if your country has come up with certain steps which really help you to overcome the unnecessary steps which you were earlier taking to do the production. Say for example, your company is taking around 12 different steps to do the production of a particular product, then you realize after a point of time that there is no need of having these 12 different steps, and still you can do the production in 8 steps. You can eliminate the unnecessary 4 steps. Then this particular thing you can ask for the patent, and that's what come under the process patent. So the plant layout process or the process layout, right, these are the different ways through which you can get the patent for. But it has to be unique, and you should be the first one to publish that, and then only it will be granted to your company, and then you can enjoy the monopoly for the next 14 to 20 years, depending upon the government norms of that particular country. So Indian norms are different from WIPO norms. The copyrights are for the literary works, like artistic works. Suppose you are a software engineer and you have developed a software code, and that code can be copyrighted. Suppose you are an author, you write a book, you can get the copyright for the book. Suppose you are a lyrics writer, you are a composer of some music or some sound or something like that, then again you can get the copyright of it. Like voice of the Amitabh Bachchan is copyrighted, voice of Lata Mangeshkar was also copyrighted, right? So you can look for the copyright, because people may imitate your voice and can earn the money, right? So that's the reason why they have to file the copyright for it. Like sketch of the artists can also be copyrighted. The dance composers, right, their steps of the dance can also be copyrighted. So these are the things which you can look for getting the copyright of. The next is the trademark. Trademark is like for the logo or the symbol of the organization, right? The color which they are using for advertising can also come under the trademark. And finally, the trade secret, right? Some confidential information like formula which you are using for doing the production, like the formula of Coca-Cola, right? What different composition they are using, the formula of medicine, right? What different salts they are using in order to generate certain medicine. All these comes under the trade secret, and you can get the patent of it. Like for example, the curd maestro technology the Samsung come up with. So the process they use to do it will also be the part of a trade secret. And like for example, pharmaceutical company patent drugs to prevent competitors from selling the generic version. So they may look for the patent of that particular product. Next is the strategic partnership, that is forming alliance with the other companies to share and protect the valuable resources. So strategic partners are like the different strategic partnership, like strategic alliance. In the previous lecture we were talking of that if in case you are realizing that your competencies are not that much which is the need of an hour, so you try to connect with some other company to get the support from, and that's how you try to gain some competencies. Like in case of a Toyota, the Toyota realized that they are losing the footfall in the India market, and they were planning to leave the India market, and all of a sudden they get the extension of support of the strategic alliance from the Suzuki partner Maruti Suzuki, and they act as a sister concern. The most of the Maruti product Toyota is selling, and some of the Toyota product Maruti is selling. That's what come under the strategic alliance, right? So strategic partnership of forming the alliance with other company to share and protect the valuable resource. For example, Apple and Foxconn partnership on exclusive manufacturing process. So here in this case, Foxconn is not at all allowed to really share the designs and the manufacturing or the USPs or the trade secret of the Apple, because they are in a deal, they are undergoing the strategic alliance. Their job is to do the production for the Apple, and the primary job of Apple is to come up with the designs, and the rest of the manufacturing is going to be performed by the Foxconn. And if any leak of information took place from the side of the Foxconn, this will lead to the legal action against the company. Same is the case with most of the contract manufacturer also, those who are doing the production for some other company, some other brands like maybe Woodland, Red Chief, right? So if you are doing the production for some significant brand and you try to leak the process, or that you try to leak the secrets of those company, then it will be called as an illegal activity, and they may file a case against you. So this is a strategic partnership by forming these alliance, maybe in a joint venture case also, as you have seen the proper allegation took place between Hero and Honda, right? When Hero and Honda was having a joint ventureship, what it was realized that Hero realized that Honda started manufacturing the bikes also in India, which was against the contract, because Hero was manufacturing the bike, Honda was manufacturing the car. They together decide to come up with the Hero Honda bike, motorbikes. And it was mentioned in the contract that none of the two companies are going to get into the competition of each other, that Honda will never be launching a motorbike in India market, but Honda did so. As a result, there was a breach in the contract, and Hero raised the concern against the Honda bike, that what against the strategic partnership, right? The next is your risk management. Risk management is talking about the developing security measures to prevent theft or misuse of proprietary data and the technology. So this is how you try to mitigate the risk, because the security which you are developing against the product which you have produced or the product which you have developed, this is how you try to really safeguard the possibility of getting into a riskier situation of being copied by the other. Right? Because the moment the other people will copy, as I told you in just a moment before, the moment they will copy, they are not putting their money in R&D. They haven't invested much. They have just copied your idea and can easily replicate or create a duplicate of your product or duplicacies in the market. As you can see, lot of local brands are available, lot of duplicacies are available in the market. They are the close replica of the original product. By just slight change in the color of the packaging, the slight change in the spelling of the product, they are offering the product in the market, right? So this kind of a risk is there, and you don't want to really miss out with the possibility of losing the monopoly in the market. So you try to safeguard your product. So developing security measure to prevent theft or misuse of proprietary data and the technology. For example, company like Google, Microsoft invest in cyber security. They are investing heavily on the cyber security to protect their unique algorithms and the customer data. And in one of the competition, Google also paid one of the boy for cracking or hacking the algorithm, security algorithm of the Google. And that moment they realized there is some glitch or the gaps in the cyber security. Even a kid could hack it. So they realized and they started working on increasing the level of the firewall securities to protect the algorithms of the Google. And they keep on conducting such competitions for the general people and the world around, so that they actually not facilitating a competition. They are rather checking themselves, is there any gap or not, which I as a script writer may not be able to find, but the other person who is sitting from the other side of the country may able to really perceive the gap in our cyber wall securities or the firewall securities. So this is one of the way of cross-checking and validating whether my firewall is safe and secure or not. We are so confident, because we are writing those algorithms, so we are very much confident about it. So in order to question our own self, in order to validate what we are doing, they try to conduct such kind of a competition across the country in order to see whether it is really authentic or not. Then next comes to the fitting resources together. Why it is important to fit the resources together, why it is important for the resource configuration, so that there will be no mishandling of the things, and the right place is at the right time and at the right equation, right? So it is just for the sake of creating the right equation, fitting of the resource become utmost important. Now fitting resource together involve coordinating and integrating various resources so they work together efficiently and complement with each other. If the right resource are at the right place at the right time, that means it is fitting together. If the particular thing which I am not in need of, it is going to be misused by me. So you have to see the particular resource which you are assigning to a HR department or to a marketing department, is it actually needed by them, or in how much quantity they need it. If they need the 20 units of it and you are providing 21, then the remaining 1 unit is going to get misused. So you have to see the right permutation combination of allocation of the resource at the right time, at the right place, and to the right person. It's about ensuring alignment between resource, people, process, technology, and the company strategy. So there has to have a proper alignment. If there is no alignment, then do you think that people are going to make best out of the available resources? Answer is no. So if you want your resource to be effectively and optimally utilized, there will be no misuse of the resource. Then you have to see the proper alignment with the people, process, and the technology. Resources are scarce in nature, as you already know, though we are the richest person in terms of the natural resources available, because we have huge assortment of resources because of varied climatical condition. But irony is that we are not good in effective utilization of resources. You just take an example of Japan. Japan is purchasing a lot of raw material from us, and as they don't have their own natural resources, they are not having a natural resources with them. So what they are doing, they are purchasing the raw material from us and processing in their own country. When you are purchasing a raw material, you purchase at a very cheaper rate, right? Because it is not a finished good. Lot of processing has to be undergone. So they are very smart. Japan is having no natural resources, so they are purchasing it from us. As they are purchasing it from us, they are purchasing at a very lower rate. And as they are getting it at a lower rate because it is a raw material, what is going to happen? They are getting an advantage of buying the things at a cost which none other country can offer to the Japan. So they are using the raw material of India, processing in their own country, and then selling back to us. And this is the irony. We have the resources, but we don't know how to make use of the resources. As a result, the other countries are playing a mockery upon us. They are buying us, they are buying from us, and they are becoming a developed nation, and we are still a developing and emerging nation. Right? So proper usage of the raw material is at most important. Despite of having all huge assortment of the resources, we are still fail in making best use of the available resources, right? So a lot of countries like Adani recently purchased one of the port in Israel. The purpose of purchasing that port in Israel is to develop our AI integration unit over there, because we are not having a good labs in India. The R&D labs are not very effective here in India. The technology of Israel country is so good. So we are trying to foresee which country is rich in what, and accordingly we are trying to create a lab over there. So Adani Group is planning to open a R&D lab of AI in Israel, because Israel is very advanced in the technology, and this the deal recently got passed by between the Adani Group and the Prime Minister of Israel. Then how to fit the resources together? This is the next important concern which comes, that how exactly you're doing it, because it is not going to be an easy rope walk. It is going to be a tough walk. So the integration of R&D, you need to do what? Integration of R&D, marketing, and the production department, right? There has to have a proper integration between the two, R&D, between the three rather, the R&D department, marketing department, and the production department. For a tech company, like aligning the product development team, R&D with the marketing and production team, ensure that product reaches the market on time with the right features, right? So if they are missing out with anything, with any element, there is a possibility of misuse of the resources. So you have to see that all these three different departments are gelling well with each other. Are they aligned with each other, so that they can make a best out of the available resources, right? Next comes is the effective communication and the collaboration, ensures that department and the team share the information, resources, and support one another to meet the overall business goal. If there is no effective communication, people will not get to know that which particular department is actually struggling to make use of the resources, which particular department is having no resources, and how exactly you are going to make use of those resources. These all these three questions answer could only be given when you are communicating, when you are free in terms of expressing your opinion, and there is nobody who is unnecessarily making a judgment on your efficiency. So if there is such kind of a free flow of communication between the different departments or among the departments or within the department, then there is a possibility that people will find their best way of making effective utilization of the resources in the organization. Otherwise, there is a possibility that people will be holding the resource, they are just keeping it with themselves, but they don't know how to make use of it. Or on the contrary side, they just start doing experimentation with the resources and end up with lot of cost involved in it, because they end up with lot of wastage, because they are just doing the experimentation. They were not clear that how exactly it's to be done. Ideally, they should communicate and let the people know that we need some training in terms of making use of this particular resources. Like for example, in case of Zara, a fast fashion company, fits its design, manufacturing and distribution resource together to create a responsive supply chain that adapt quickly to the customer demand. So here what we are observing, that Zara is quickly making use of the market trends, the requirement of the customer, and accordingly they start fitting it the different available resources in the different department and start coming up with best product for their customer. So you need to be very quick and fast, and then very adaptive in terms of coming up with the quick responses to the market. Now let's start with the next new topic, that is business process reengineering. So wherever you are finding there is a change, there is a need of relooking at what you are thinking of, don't hide yourself, don't be ashamed of yourself, just quickly start doing that reengineering process, because reengineering may make your work more efficient, reengineering work may make your production process more easier, right? So you should quickly start with this process of reengineering, instead of feeling that why I should why I should question myself, why I should rethink about it, why I should redesign. There is always a better way of starting the things which are going right now on a wrong track. So business process reengineering involve radically redesigning and rethinking business process to achieve significant improvement in the performance, efficiency and customer satisfaction. This is what I'm just telling you, that if you realize that the things which you have planned is not going in the right direction, is not going the way it ideally should go, you're finding some gaps are coming, it is not taking that beautiful shape, or it is not taking that same outcome is not coming up which you are actually expecting it to come from this particular strategy, or which should ideally come from the product or the resource which you are making use of, but the results are not coming up, then it's always take a pause, rethink and come up with a better understanding of that failure, and try to find out the probable solutions of those problems and try to fix them, right? It's about starting from the scratch and re-imaging the process rather than making the incremental improvements, right? So it is not about incremental changes or the patchwork. You have to really go back from the beginning and start from the scratch, right? So you have to start from the ideation itself. Again, you have to question whether the idea was correct or not, whether the thing which I was planning to come up with is exactly correct or not, whether the segment which I have selected is correct or not, the style of the production process which I have used is correct or not, the raw material which I have used is correct or not. So you have to ask the valid checklist question again and again in order to find out whether the decisions you have took, whatever the decisions you have took, is exactly paving your way or there is some flaws in it, right? Look at the key principles of the business process reengineering. The first thing which you should focus on, the customer need, right? Designing the process to deliver value to the customer. The purpose is to provide the value to your customer, right? If you fail to provide the values to your customer, whatever the design you have produced may be of no use, right? So no matter the product of certain companies are coming up in the market and it is absolutely obsolete, do you think you would like to buy the product because the technology is so obsolete, the technology is so outdated? If the particular mobile phone which is coming in the market, it's not supporting Android, it's not supporting iOS, it's not supporting Windows, then you are not going to really make use of that particular phone, because the technology which it is supporting is obsolete, right? Or if it is very advanced, then it should be user friendly for the people to really adapt to that particular change. So focus on your customer need is very important in order to understand what exactly your customer is looking for from you. Next comes eliminate inefficiency, right? So you try to find out what are the redundant areas, what are those areas which are very repetitive, or the area which are of no reason they are there. Certain features in the product, sometimes it seems to be like, for what reason this feature is there in the product, right? Why this particular light is coming from this side, why this button is given in this particular consumer electronic product. So if certain features are there, certain things which are there, where you're failing to define the reason why you have placed that thing, then it becomes an inefficient thing, and you should look for overcoming those inefficiencies. And you should also try to find out why to add some non-valuable adding activities. So you should look for certain things which should add value to your product rather than non-value adding product. So focus on finding the products which are going to add value to it. Focus on finding what your customer is looking for. If you are not clear that what your customer is looking for, go to the market, do the survey again, ask the employees of your organization to give you the feedback, because they are the people, they are the part and parcel of the market. They might be knowing more about the customer. So go back to your customer, go back to your employees, go back to the ground level and try to get the information. If you are missing out with this thing, that I am not clear what exactly the customer is looking for, I am trying my level best, but I am not able to figure out what exactly they are demanding. So there is something wrong in your survey. There is something wrong in your assessment of the trend, need, market analysis, or the demographic variable which you have selected. You might have not done the correct assessment of it. Suppose you might be conducting the survey in the north and you are serving the product to the South Indian people, then there is no connection between the two. Though they are the part of the country, it's okay, but the taste and preferences, there is a huge difference in it. So you have to cater to that particular need and taste and preference of the people, right? So you have to find out where the gap is coming from, and based on that you have to take the corrective course of action. If you fail, you will not be able to survive. Next comes is the process reorganization, that is reorganize workflow to streamline the operations and reduce the delay, unnecessary delay. If it is coming up, it is the job of yours is to reorganize your entire activity so that the unnecessary delay, unnecessary hindrance of the work can be overcome. And if unnecessary hindrance or overcome is unnecessary delay is happening, or there is a process where the glitches are there and redundancy is there, repetition is there, you should try to find out the ways through which you can eliminate those redundancy and the delay. Now comes the example of the Ford, where the BPR in 1990s, the company overhauled its accounting process, cutting down the time needed to close its book from week to just an hour, leading to its significant cost savings. So here, with the help of this business process re-engineering, companies like Ford, they are also getting a better way of dealing with the manpower. They are also getting the better way of dealing with the customer. The company overhauled its accounting process, right? They have completely restructured their accounting process, right? So the company, such a big company, they are realizing their mistake. They are realizing that they are unnecessary taking certain steps which are of no use. So they have restructured their entire accounting process, cutting down the time need to close its book from week to just an hour. So earlier they used to take a lot of to complete this entire accounting and bookkeeping process used to take a complete 1 week of time. It has gone down to 1 hour just, leading to its significant cost saving, and this has saved the organization to get the work done in lesser time, right? So this is what the company like Ford is doing, right? So business process, this kind of a job which is coming under the business process re-engineering is really paving the way. You should not feel ashamed. As I mentioned earlier, the most of organization ashamed of accepting their failure, right? So if you are ashamed of accepting your failure, you will further creating another hindrance and further graveyard of the entire company, right? So it is always advisable to accept your failure at the very beginning, and the moment you sense out that something wrong is happening, something is going out of the track based on your KPIs, based on your balance scorecard, the moment you realize some of the red flags are coming up, so immediately take a action against those red flags. Now, there are certain steps to implement in the business process reengineering. First is to define the objectives and the outcome. First and foremost thing, first you should get to know that for what reason I am doing and what will be the result of it. If you know these two end, you can create the rest of the design. You can create the rest of the thing which will be moving in these two continuum from objective to the outcomes, right? Understand what company aim to achieve through business process engineering. Next comes is your map current process, analyze the document existing workflow to identify the various inefficiencies, right? So if you able to list out all your inefficiency, if you're able to list out all your weaknesses, you will for sure be able to find out, okay, fine, A weakness is going to be rectified with this course of action, B weakness is going to be rectified with this course of action, C is going to be rectified with this course of action, like and so forth. So if you have no such map, no such heat map is there in the organization, no such Gantt chart is there in the organization, then how you will be able to find out the gaps? So very important is to find out that how you will be actually hitting on the gap. For this you need to have a proper the chart, there should be some flow chart should be there in the organization, there should be some maps, some heat map should be there, which will be helping the organization to identify the inefficiency area, and based on that you will be able to take the corrective course of actions. And those corrective course of action are going to come in the form of redesign the process, develop new process that are more efficient and aligned with the customer need, right? So you will be designing the entire process so that it will match to the upcoming trend, upcoming needs and the taste and preferences of the customer. You are not merely going to think about the current issues or the current problem. You will be thinking from the perspective of the future market, what will happen in next few years, how it will going to take shape in the coming year, because whatever the changes you will be bringing today is going to last for so many years. So is it going to be useful in the coming years also? And most of the time it has also been observed that whatever the change you are bringing today is going to give you the results after few years, and the time in which they start giving years it become obsolete. So you have to sense out that whether this particular change is going to be fruitful and useful maybe after 5 years or 10 years. Such kind of a long-term horizon should be there in your mind. So implement the new process, begin the process of implementation and ensure that the required resources are in place or not, and then keep monitoring the each and everything, not only in the perspective of finding whether things are going on track or not, but also in the terms of the changes which are coming from the market, right? So keep a watch over both your internal environment as well as the external environment. Example, here the Dell re-engineer its order fulfillment process to provide customer with customized personal computer, delivering products more quickly and efficiently. So when just open the Dell website, earlier what used to happen, Dell used to give you the lot of avenues to customize the laptop as per your requirement. Suppose you are a architectural engineer and you want some software related to the architect, so they are going to place that architectural software which is going to help the architectural engineer. So if you are a fashion designer, they are going to place certain software which are going to really help the fashion designer to design the sketch and everything. That level of customization Dell was doing. Then how do these concepts work together? These concepts are going to work together with the help of resource configuration, right? So you have to reconnect with what we have done in our just few slides before, that we were talking about the configuration of the resource. We are going to talk about we had talked about the protecting of the unique resources. We had talked about the fitting of the resources together and the BPR. So all these things are going to come together in order to give you the outcome in the form whether the course of action which was taken by you is of some worth or not, right? If it is not of worth, then go for re-engineering. It is worth, then go ahead. No need of bringing any re-engineering. So these are the essential key takeaways of this session. In today's lecture, we try to understand the effective resource allocation is very critical, right? We also got to know that resource configuration is going to enhance the efficiency of the organization. We also realized that protecting unique resources is very crucial for competitive advantage. Otherwise, people are going to create the piracy of your product or the duplicate product in the market, even at the cost lesser than you. Fitting resource together boosts the organization's synergy. Business process reengineering can transform the organization. Holistic approach to the resource management is at most needed. Here it is mentioned that key concept: resource configuration, protection of unique resource, fitting resource together, and business process reengineering should work in synergy. That means they should align their work process with each other. Wherever they are finding the gap, quick and immediate fixing of those gaps are important to create more agile, responsive, efficient organization that can adapt to market demand and achieve long-term growth. So with this word, let us call a day. Thank you so much. And you can refer to this book of Charles W.L. Hill, recent edition, published in the year 2020 on strategic management. Thank you.